Just a couple of days ago, I watched an interesting Pokemon movie and started thinking, but in the end, I ended up in a group of people with foil hats. On one hand, it's nice that many people who watch my content openly share their thoughts. But on the other hand, sometimes I don't understand why people write negative, aggressive comments that are hard to even call criticism. Anyway, after this comment, I got the idea to talk to you about how we react to aggression, even when it's expressed through online comments. How not to become a hostage to these emotions and not let others' negative reactions affect our state. After all, when we face aggressive or negative statements, sometimes we feel the urge to respond sharply or even start justifying ourselves, like in this case with this guy. Hello everyone, you're on the Minecraft Bro channel. As you've probably guessed, today we're going to talk about how to stop letting aggression control us and how to learn to stay calm when we face negativity, whether it's online or in real life. In general, this is a topic that concerns us all because each of us has faced situations where we feel like we're boiling inside and think that responding harshly is the only way out. So this kind of situation is relevant for all of us. Anyway, I won't keep you waiting. Let's get straight to the video. I just want to remind you again to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, leave likes, all the things YouTubers say. Now let's begin. So let's start with where aggression comes from and why it so often arises even in ordinary comments or everyday situations. When we encounter something that doesn't align with our expectations or views, many of us have an initial reaction of aggression or defense. We perceive it as a challenge or even an attack, although in reality, it's just someone else's opinion. And this quickly brings us to a very interesting point. I believe the key to suppressing aggression is understanding that we are all different. Each of us has our own individual history and experiences, so we all have different reactions to what happens in life. Let me give you a simple example without all the complicated explanations. Imagine a situation where you're standing in line at a store and suddenly some guy laughs and says, "Well, let him pass, let him go. It's easier to let the person through." After all, those few minutes in line don't matter much, and a conflict over this could lead to some strange consequences. But then another person, standing in the same line, explodes with outrage, starts shouting, getting into a fight, and behaving horribly. It seems like a completely normal and familiar situation we see every day in stores. But let's try to understand what's wrong here. The thing is, for the first person, it's just a small thing. They understand that pushing someone just to save a couple of minutes is disrespectful, but it's easier for them to just laugh it off and avoid the conflict because it's not worth it. On the other hand, the second person may be used to always being overlooked, like they're always getting less than others. Maybe they've often been passed over in similar situations, and that has developed an intense reaction to any sign of disrespect toward their boundaries. This is where their aggression builds up, and any similar situation acts like a trigger. They see the person pushing ahead and laughing as a symbol of all those situations where they've been hurt or bypassed. So, the situation itself isn't that important. What matters is our reactions and the experiences that lie behind them. And I want to clarify that I'm not justifying or supporting people who push in lines. I'm simply showing you a very simple and understandable example that everyone is different and each person has their own reaction to such situations. I hope that's clear. But to suppress aggression, knowing that people are different isn't enough. Let's break this topic down into 3 small stages. The first stage, as I mentioned earlier, is understanding that we're all different, and each of us has our own individual experiences. Now let's move on to the second stage. So the second stage is understanding that our reactions to aggression, whether in real life or online, are not always an accurate reflection of the situation, but rather a result of what's happening inside us. This is an important point because we often think that our emotions and reactions are the absolute truth, and if we feel anger, then the anger is justified. But in reality, that's not always the case. When someone writes an aggressive comment, it's not so much an attack on you personally as it is an expression of that person's dissatisfaction and aggression. It's their emotions, their misunderstanding. And I totally get that, for example. This guy leaving a comment may have just had a bad day. Something unpleasant happened to him, and he wants to channel that negativity somewhere. And I just happen to be the one to catch it. That's okay. I'm not against that. And if anyone wants to vent, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll probably reply to you 100%. Now, let's move on to the final stage. Now, the third stage is the ability to choose your reaction and set boundaries. We can't control what others say or do, but we can control how we react to it. It's important to understand that aggression from others is not our problem, but rather the problem of the person expressing it. Very often, it happens when a close person or friend gets angry at us, and we start to feel upset and look for problems within ourselves, thinking it's our fault and that something's wrong with us. But here's the thing. Someone else's aggression, especially if it's not constructive criticism, has nothing to do with us. It's just that person's way of dealing with their internal conflicts and problems. Understanding this frees us from feelings of guilt and the obligation to justify ourselves or explain anything. I really want to emphasize this third stage because I believe it's truly super important. I want you guys to learn how to set clear boundaries. And clear boundaries don't mean aggressive behavior in response. On the contrary, it means calmly and confidently asserting your personal boundaries. If someone says something unpleasant about how you look or says something unpleasant about your outfit, don't take it personally. We have the ability to choose how to react to such unpleasant situations. We can choose not to get involved, not to waste energy on emotions, and simply ignore it or respond with humor. Just like with the guy who commented about my foil hat, I can choose to be offended by him, or I can choose to approach it with humor. Since I started creating video podcasts, I've come across many comments that could have bothered me, but I've simply learned to look at them from a different perspective. Sometimes, such comments aren't an attempt to attack us, but rather a reflection of what's happening in that person's life. Maybe they need to release some steam, and we just happen to be in the way. And this is where the important point comes in. We can choose how to relate to it. If I respond with humor or simply ignore it, I'm not allowing these negative comments to control my emotions. Plus, I can guarantee you that when someone addresses you with aggression, their goal is to provoke an emotional reaction from you. But if you respond with humor and calmness, you'll make them even more angry and frustrated because they expected a different reaction from you. And finally, I want to tell you about my method of dealing with aggression. Like everyone, I have moments when I wake up, let's say, in a bad mood, haven't eaten, all my plans are ruined, I'm irritable, nothing is going right, and so on. In such cases, it's important to direct all that negativity into some kind of outlet, because keeping it inside doesn't work. Sooner or later, it will come out. Many people project their negativity onto others, but I prefer a different, more positive method of dealing with aggression. In my case, it's sports. For you, it could be a hobby. For example, if you love playing soccer, go outside, get some fresh air, and kick the ball into the net. If you like drawing or doing some other creative activity, try to relax, make yourself some nice tea, put on some calming music, and just unwind. The important thing is to find something that helps you manage your inner tension without redirecting it onto other people. In my case, it's sports, and it's a really a way to release emotions. When I feel that tension building up, I go hit a punching bag or go to the gym and train. There are many ways to do it, and it helps me feel a little calmer and better. So guys, if someone says something rude to you, don't take it personally and don't get upset. The main thing is not to let other people's emotions control yours. You are the only one who has the right to decide how to react. Well, that's all. I hope you learned something new today. And now, next time someone is rude to you, you'll understand that it's not your problem, but theirs. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. This was the Minecraft Bro channel, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.